There are few people in personal finance that I respect as much as Dave Ramsey. He's helped millions of people get out of debt. He has built one of the most powerful personal finance platforms in the world. But after years of investing, studying finance and building wealth, helping others through the journey of financial freedom, I have realized that there are 10 things he teaches that I personally disagree with. Not because he's wrong, but because there's more than one way to build wealth. Today, we are going to look at 10 Dave Ramsey teachings and why I take a different approach. I do understand the psychology behind this. And I also understand that paying off small debts builds momentum. But debt is not only a psychological problem, it is a mathematical problem. So, for example, if you owe £500 at an interest rate of 5% and £2,000 at an interest rate of 29%, psychologically, it may make sense to you to clear up £500 first. But mathematically, snowball does not work in this instance. We need an avalanche where we tackle the one with the highest interest first. Because one, we are paying off debt, but we are also pragmatic in saving the future. And so I'm not going to wait and pay more in interest when I could pay £2,000 in the shortest space of time and eroding that interest off before attacking £500 that yields a 5% on interest. So I get a psychology, but once again, let's apply the mathematics and let's ensure that the numbers actually really impact. And if the numbers are impacting, then of course, list all these debts in chronological order. What do I mean? From highest to the lowest, and tackle the ones with the highest interest attached to them. To me, if you want momentum, let's build momentum in our pocket. Let's build momentum in future. Once again, if you are angry about that debt, which I believe you should be, then attack the biggest problem first. I totally disagree. The financial system wants to see how you manage debt. And so let's take, for instance, my groceries budget for the month is £400. So I know I'm budgeting that amount. So that money is already stuck in my savings account or wherever I intend to keep that money. I spent £400 on my credit card. 2 weeks to the due date, I push £400 onto the credit card. 0% on it. 0% balance on it. Now, what have I done? I have improved my credit profile because I have demonstrated responsible behavior. A person can have debt and still have an excellent credit score. The system isn't only looking at the debt. It is looking at your behavior, your financial behavior. That is what it is all about. And so you can be debt-free, have nothing on your credit card, have no loans, but yet your credit records says you are good or probably fair. Because there isn't any history for one to trace. Once again, if you're going for your mortgages, if you're going for your loans, all of these are being checked. But if you don't show the lender your financial behavior, how do they find you credit wealthy to give credit to you? Once again, I disagree. So let's say I have an extra £500 at the end of every month. Dave says put the entire £500 towards your mortgage. But I personally disagree. I will put £200 towards the mortgage and £300 in investing. And so I am paying off the debt. I'm also building wealth simultaneously. If my mortgage costs me 2.59% or up to 4.5%, and my investment historically returns me between 8% to 11% over long periods, then I want both horses running. I am reducing the debt and I'm also building wealth. To me, that is a healthy living. Bad debt is dangerous, but productive debt is the difference. Therefore, if you read Proverbs 22 verse 7, the Bible says the borrower is a slave. In other version, it says it's a servant to the lender. But notice the Bible did not say debt is a sin. Therefore, in breaking that verse down, it means debt creates obligations. Therefore, we need to have respect for debt. What does that mean? If you borrow, ensure that you respect the rules, the terms and conditions regarding the debt. Just so you do not become a slave to the lender. This is all it means. A mortgage builds wealth. Business finance can build wealth. Leverage can build wealth. The key is understanding productive debt and destructive debt. If you understand this too, debt is one of the greatest engines to rise on. 1,000 used to be an emergency fund. But today, 1,000 for some families is when a boiler breaks down. And so my target is not an arbitrary number. My target is what is actually realistic on the ground. That is what I keep saying on Yet Finance. We are redefining what finance is. Because for all the years that I studied finance, if I bring my textbook to you, I bet you it will be different to what your reality is. And so personally, emergency fund is your entire real monthly expense together. Mortgage, rent, or your rent, utility, what, all of that realistic, those expenses that we can actually do away with. All of that together, to me, is 1 month emergency fund. But if you ask me, my maximum is 2 months of that together. Why? We do not have enough time. So let's move into investment and invest. So when others say, oh, build 3 to 6 months worth of emergency funds, how are they calculating your emergency funds? Is it £1,000? Is it £2,000? No. My emergency funds, realistically, is different to yours. And so you need to take that pen and on that sheet of paper, we need to be realistic and as honest as possible. State what is reality. Put all of that together. That is what we need to grow and ensure we have that in our account. Times 2. That's it. Maximum. The rest, let's move to the market. Let's start investing. Age matters. And in my honesty, from 50 or 55 or approaching retirement, you can't be investing like you are 25. And so then the proven records actually make sense. What do I mean? Sticking to the mutual funds, the ETFs. Yes, if you are 55 going, then by all means, these are your triggers. But if age and time is on your side, we need to take a little bit more risk. We need to identify individual companies that have also proven records. Its fundamentals are something that we can test from decades till today. And then we take that risk, though we also want to be diversified. So ETFs and a blend of individual companies. Nvidia has made a lot of millionaires. Google, Apple. A lot of these giant companies have made a lot of millionaires. Meanwhile, they form a part of the giant S&P 500. If they form the big part of the S&P 500, then there's nothing wrong with me taking a stake in them, in these individual companies, when I have time on my side. And so you see, it is dependent on who is receiving the information. Once again, if you are younger and have decades ahead of you, please, there should be an exposure to selected companies too, provided you understand the fundamentals, the management, the financials, the industry. Risk must be calculated and not avoided. If your goal is ordinary retirement, then 15% may be enough. But if your goal is financial freedom, then I'm sorry, stay away from that. You have no business doing the 15% businesses, especially when people say this, the 20, 30, 40 rule, the 60, 20, 30, whatever rule. No. The rule is what your time is. The rule is what your reality is. That is the rule. And not the decades ago, 20, 30, 60, the 40, 20, 30. No, it doesn't make sense anymore. Now, if you are single, you should be aiming at investing at least 50% of your income. And if you are married, you should be attacking this heavily. Because the earlier money compounds, the less dependent you become on employment. At some point, we should be looking forward to either self-employed or coming out into your own terms and conditions and not waking up to a 9 to 5. This one depends on the debt. If the debt is 0%, why am I racing to clear it? If the debt is 4 or 5%, why am I also racing to clear it? Historically, investments have returned between 9% and above. Last month, I can show you some investment that returned 100%. I can also show you a year ago some ETF that returned 32%. I can also show you some ETF that gave 16% just last year, considering the turmoil economics has gone through. Yet this is the return on some form of investment. So why am I in a rush of clearing a 0% debt or 5% interest or even at most 6% on a loan? Why am I in a rush to clear this? Compounding doesn't wait for anyone. We need time to compound. And so, yes, let's reduce the debt, but let's also build in assets. Let's invest, all right? Because if you are investing strategically, out of the proceeds of the investment, we can quench the fire on that debt. What did I just say? Quench the fire on the debt. I mean clear the debt. I agree to some extent, but quality of life also matters. Our health matters. Our well-being also matters. Therefore, living below your means doesn't mean living badly. It means avoiding unnecessary expenses while still maintaining a healthy standard of living. Budget wisely and enjoy your life responsibly. We are responsible to what we do. So if you are able to manage this, we should be good. This is one I strongly disagree. Personally, whenever I held a large amount of cash, I take emotional decisions. I'm that person that a friend calls and I'm like, here you go. Someone knocks on my door, here you go. I'm that person who empty my wallet for you. But then in the end, I lose relationships. Because when you are coming for the money, the kind of story that you purport for me to be that generous to you, that is not the same medium you use when you're paying the money back. And when I come to ask for the money, we have problems. People start talking behind the scenes. You'll be hearing, I heard you did this. Oh, I heard you did that. Meanwhile, when you were in the season of your generosity, nobody heard about it. And so if you are thinking the business cycle, if you are thinking as an investor, and once again, if you want to be a good friend to your community, cash is not healthy. Yes, I know the comment section may disagree, but I'm saying what to me has helped. Cash is not healthy. So I moved most of my money into investment. Now, when you ask for money or you ask for something or some form of help, I can't easily liquidate an asset. It must really matter for me to liquidate an asset. Now, let's put that one somewhere else. Let's talk about inflation. £10,000 today is not the same £10,000 years from now. Cash has a role. Emergency funds has a role. But long-term wealth is built through assets and not through cash. So we take the cash, we invest in an asset. To be clear, I am not saying Dave Ramsey is wrong on everything. He's helped millions build discipline, and discipline matters. But my perspective is different because I look at leverage, I look at strategic debt, I look at investing and compounding through a more modern lens. That is why at every level in life, financial education matters. Two people can use one system completely differently. It is dependent on who carries the message and the vision that they carry. Now, I am not condemning Dave Ramsey. Once again, like I said, I have huge respect for. But let me know which of Dave Ramsey's quotes policies or say ideologies you agree and disagree in the comments. This is Yard Finance. I can't wait to see you at the top. God richly bless you. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next.